This is Bryson Tin coming at you for another season recap award show. It's been a while since you guys have seen me. We'll start it off. I was going to go on the radio show with Sloth, but something came up last night, so I wasn't able to get there. Great season. Congrats to the winners last night of the two big bowl games, the Orange Bowl. Texas Longhorns handled their business against Florida. 5 interceptions by the young freshman quarterback for Florida. And that was probably the difference. But to be honest, Texas is on a mission. That offense is incredible. And so I wasn't too surprised on that one. On the other side, we had in the Rose Bowl, BYU, number one team in the land, took care of business, shut down the Rutgers anemic offense. Two defensive teams. BYU just proved to be a little bit more balanced in that one. And it's going to set up a great finals. And so the two best teams all year facing off in the finals. It's going to be awesome. I'm not sure who I'm going to pick yet. We got the really good offense of Texas and the really good defense of BYU, so it should be a pretty awesome matchup. All right, so I'll get on to the awards. I'm going to go off my phone. We'll start off, everybody knows the Rectal Rocket Award for the league's worst team. They get the number one pick in the draft, and that's Arizona Cardinals, Tim Reese Jr. So hopefully they can turn it around and not get their name on this trophy next year, because this is one of those awards you don't want to be a part of. So that's the winner of that one. The next award is the Bryson Tin Award. This is the award for Athletic Director of the Year. For those of you who don't know about this is an award I made after I retired. It's just basically an all-around award, not just necessarily wins or losses, but off-season, draft, participation, basically all the things that go into being a really good owner in this league. And this year's award goes to Jared JMC Manu. For those of you that don't know, he's the Florida owner, very active, turned it around. That program really had a good season. They had the Rectal Award winner. They were the Rectal Award winner years ago, and so the fact that they've made it all the way to the Orange Bowl just shows you that you can really turn a program around if you dedicate yourself and not give up. And so I'm pretty proud of what they've done in Florida. Although he came up a little short getting to the national championship, I think he had a really awesome season. And a lot of those young guys that he's drafted over the last couple of years are really coming to fruition. This season he picked up Jonathan DiMartini in the offseason, and he kind of saw that maybe he wasn't the same player halfway through the year, and so he went to the young freshman. And the freshman actually answered the bell for a lot of the year. He had a bad game in the Orange Bowl, but I think the move going to him early was the smart move, because he really had a good season, and he played better than what DiMartini was playing. So congratulations to Jared on winning the Bryson Tin Award. Next up, we'll go to the Home Depot Coach of the Year Award. This was a tough one. I actually voted for the guy that ended up winning, Arthur Salter, Army's coach. Army was really a tough team this year, and I was actually surprised they didn't do a little bit better in the postseason, just because of how tough they had been in a really tough division. They were 12-4 with a number 5 offense and number 6 defense. One of the most balanced teams of the year, and so that was why I went ahead and picked him as the award winner, just because I think Army had really low expectations. Other guys like Texas, I think Texas's coach and BYU's coach were right there, 2 and 3, and Florida's coach number 3. But yeah, Army's coach deserved it, and he got 13 votes. The next guy was 7, so he won by pretty good margin. So congratulations to Salter and Army on a great season. Hopefully they can get back there next year. Now we'll start getting to the special teams awards. The Ray Guy Punter of the Year Award. This is going to go to Richard Curtis, the punter from LSU. This was interesting. It was a really close vote. It actually came down to 1 vote. And so it looks like the people went by the net average as one of the main components when they did this one, because he definitely didn't have the most inside the 20s. So net average got Curtis over the top. He beat out James Cruel from Georgia. So congratulations to Curtis on getting the Punter of the Year, and we'll just keep it moving. Next up, the Lou Groza Award for the best kicker. This went to the All-American first-teamer John Barron II from Rutgers. Great season. He only missed 2 field goals all year, no extra points. So he had a good season. Him and Kyle Brinza were right there, neck and neck, as two of the better guys, I thought. Ended up being a 13-8 vote. So congratulations to Rutgers Barron as the kicker of the year. I know HC will probably be stoked just to have another guy get an award for him. All right, now we'll move over to some of the big defensive awards. We'll start off with the Jim Thorpe for the league's best defensive back. This is a big award because defensive backs are really counted on in MFN, and so to be able to garner this one is a pretty special one. This goes to a guy that I'm sure Otter's going to be pretty stoked. Lewis Peden from UCLA. Basically, the draft that really changed around UCLA is when they started getting some of those defensive backs to hit, and it started kind of with Peden. He had a great season, 74 tackles, 33 knockdowns, 12 interceptions. He led the NCAA in interceptions, and so I think that was probably the thing that put him over the top. He won by, it was pretty close actually. He got by 3 votes over Trevor Valentine, who also had a really good season for Washington State. But congratulations to Peden on getting the Thorpe Award. Next up is the Butkus Award. This is where it gets interesting because I actually went with James Strunk from Texas, a player I really loved coming out. I thought he really, handled the transition back to linebacker this year for Texas really well and had a good season. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to knock off last year's winner, which is Pepper Johnson, the Ohio State Buckeye linebacker. Pepper Johnson's just the best defensive player in football right now. He's just amazing with the fact that he can get so many interceptions as a linebacker, and it just catapulted him to another one. He had 8 interceptions this year for a linebacker, which is pretty awesome, and I think that's what got the voters. He ended up winning by 3 votes, but I thought Strunk had a really good season, so it could have went either way between the two guys. But congratulations to Pepper Johnson. Second year in a row, Ohio State got this award with him. Next up, the Lombardi Award winner for best lineman or linebacker. In the past, a lot of times the sacks have really propelled defensive linemen to win this award. This year, with the sacks way down with the new code, Pepper Johnson gets this one. So he doubles up, had a great season. Followed by Strunk again, so it looks like the league is transitioning towards more of a linebacker-heavy league than D lineman, like it has in the past. Pepper Johnson definitely deserves some attention with the amount of interceptions and tackles, and just the overall play that he does for Ohio State. So congratulations to Pepper Johnson for winning the Lombardi Award and the Butkus Award. Next up, we'll go to the Bronco Nagurski. This is for the nation's top defensive player. And you would think that Pepper Johnson, after winning 2 awards, would be up for this award, but he ended up finishing 4th in this award, which is kind of surprising. It was a defensive back heavy vote on this one. It starts with Lewis Peden. He wins the 2nd award after winning the Thorpe. He went ahead and grabbed the best defensive player in the whole league, followed by Valentine, and Rock Ya-Sin got 3rd. So you're looking at a little bit of a transition for people in the voting, starting to understand that defensive backs are a little bit more important with this code. And so the defensive linemen have kind of fell off the map, and the linebackers are starting to become the 2nd most important position. So congratulations to Peden and Otter. Great season, Otter. I know you came up a little short of the playoffs, but I thought you had a really good season with that young squad and those young defensive backs, and I think Peden definitely deserved this award. Now we'll move over to the offensive side of the ball. We'll go to the center, the top center in the nation, the Dave Remington Award. And this is a guy I picked. I had him the first team All-American. He's been a stalwart for Rutgers over the years, and that's Oliver Steele. This is his last season for Rutgers, and so he'll move on and transfer next year. Really good player. Didn't allow a sack. Just an all-around stud, over the years. And this is a good way to end his reign with Rutgers with a Remington. I know he's been close a couple times before. Congratulations to him. Next up, the Outland Trophy for the nation's top lineman. This one was interesting because there's a lot of players that aren't giving up sacks now, and so you kind of have to decipher which categories you think are most important. And for me, it's always going to be the tackles. I always like the bookends just because the defensive ends seem to always be the trouble spots for offense. With this code, it might be changing, but I still went ahead and picked the winner, who is Oklahoma's E.J. Noma Oger Lyle. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but he's got a long name. He had a really good season, and he pretty much got 14 votes. The next guy got 6, so it wasn't that close in this one. Played a lot of plays, a lot of pass blocks, only allowed 14 tackles, no sacks. Basically a flawless season for the most part. Yeah, so congratulations to him. Pretty impressed with what he did. And now we'll go over to some of the skill positions. We'll start off with tight end, a position that, some codes, this was a position that was huge. I think it's getting a little bit less important on this code. While they're still getting decent stats, they're not getting those eye-popping stats that we got a few years ago when they were dominating the league. With that said, I thought Durham Smythe, who ended up winning this award for the second time from Notre Dame, he had hands down the best season, over 1,300 yards, 5 touchdowns, followed by last year's winner Irv Smith Jr., who had another great season, didn't top 1,000 yards, but he had more touchdowns than Smythe. But I think Smythe, being in that run and shoot offense of Notre Dame, really took advantage of the touches, and he got a lot of balls thrown his way, and so I think that's what led to his stats being a little bit more inflated than the other guys. All right, so next up is the Biletnikoff Award, and the Biletnikoff Award to the nation's top wide receiver. This was a really tough one because I think a lot of people really liked Mitchell and the production that he had at Texas. And if you go by touchdowns, I think he did have the better season. But Florida's Thomas Schmidt was just the man in Florida all year. And I think the fact that he was at the top of the receiving yards list for pretty much the whole season kept his name in the spotlight. And he ended up winning the award. Really close race, 17 votes to 14. So congratulations to Florida's Thomas Schmidt, really coming on, especially once the quarterback changed. He really came on, especially in the playoffs. I think it was the second round. He had a really big game. So congratulations to Schmidt on winning the Biletnikoff. Now we get to the Doak Walker for the nation's top running back. And this is going to be not very big of a surprise. Byron Gribble just had a monster season. I remember when he came out in the draft, I tried to get Dash, who was Cal at the time, to draft Gribble. I just really liked him coming out of the draft. And I think if he was here, he would say he regretted that pick. He ended up going to Texas. Really good player. He's finally starting to emerge with the new regime change. He had a great season. One of the best seasons we've seen as a running back, over 1,000 yards rushing, almost 5 yards a carry. Then he had 90 catches at almost 1,700 yards receiving with 15 touchdowns. So overall, he had over 20 touchdowns, 1,000 rushing, 1,700 receiving. Just a great season. Can't get much better than that on one of the best teams in the nation. So congratulations to Gribble on winning the Doak Walker Award. He ended up crushing it with 24 votes. The next guy got 6, who was Ohio State's Ben Hardsock. All right, the next is Danny O'Brien Award for the nation's top quarterback. Not a big surprise here. Don Anderson for Texas destroyed the league this year. He had 59 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions, led the league in passing yards. I did like George Bowers here. I really liked him going into the season. He was my Heisman pick. He had a really good season as well. He came up short with only 5 votes, though, compared to the 26 from Anderson. Anderson just destroyed this award. So congratulations to Texas on another award. You got Gribble in the Doak. Now you got Anderson with the Davy O'Brien. And that translates over to the Maxwell. Maxwell for the nation's best player. I thought it was out of Anderson and Gribble. And Anderson ended up winning this one by 2 votes. The quarterbacks usually tend to get a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. They're a little bit sexier of the pick, and so I wasn't surprised to see Anderson garner the Maxwell. But that leads us to the Heisman Trophy. We've had some big Heisman Trophy winners over the year. I think it's been all quarterbacks. One wide receiver, Tony Jones, is the only player to ever get the Heisman without being a quarterback. And this year we actually have something new, kind of surprising actually. We have a tie. And as in the past when there's a tie, I end up going with co-winners, and so I'm going to do that this year. because Don Anderson and Byron Gribble, two teammates, ended up tying for the Heisman, which is unprecedented. 4.88 votes combined score for both of them. So Anderson ended up getting more of the first place votes by 14 to 12, but overall they ended up tying, which is pretty crazy considering we had 32 votes. I'll post all the results, and so you can kind of see how the breakdown went. But I think it's kind of fitting because they both stole votes from each other. They were both on the best offense in the nation. They were both instrumental in that offense. The quarterback running back combination, especially with Gribble catching so many passes and getting so many touchdowns overall. I think Anderson definitely had a monster season. But Gribble as a running back had one of the better seasons we've ever seen. And so I think it's fitting that both of them are going to be co-Heisman winners. And, maybe everybody can give their opinion, what they think. Do you think it was fair, or what people were thinking? I thought it was pretty neat. Just another year in, NCAA football. Great season, great awards. Looking forward to this final and then the draft. I think we're going to have a whole week of pre-draft stuff, since I think the draft's going to fall little after Monday, which will work out for me because I'm going to be at the lake on early August, so maybe I'll be able to be on the radio show for the whole draft and the next weekend. But that's going to wrap up our awards show. Thank you for checking me out. I know it's been a while since I've been on here. Missed you guys. And shout out to, we got a new owner, Warthog. Welcome to Kentucky. I think this is going to be great next season after this finals. Get ready for the off season, everybody, and I'll check you all later. Peace out.